class session, and so what we're going to spend time doing today is try to tie everything together. And so what I'm going to talk about right now is a presentation that Terry and I gave at Oklahoma City University about a month or two ago. And it just kind of goes more into everything that we've been talking about for the past 5 weeks and the work that we do here. Terry's going to end up kind of talking about the work that we do here, and then we're going to end up doing some case studies by the end of it, and then have more of a discussion. Okay? So let me get it started. Terry, do you want to sit here and press the button for me?
Yes.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Yeah, so the first couple will be quick, and then we'll go more in depth. So with this talk that we gave at Oklahoma City was about environmental justice and social justice. We've talked a lot about our programs here at the ICA, the first week and the second week, and sort of the main piece of all of our programs is that we like to tie together social justice and environmental justice. We don't think you can take man out of, or woman out of their environment, and so you can't talk about having social justice without having environmental justice. Here in the U.S., a lot of times organizers and people who work at the community level tend to work either on environmental justice or on social justice and not bring the two together. Are these words clear to you guys? Do you know what I mean by environmental justice and social justice? Yeah? Okay. You can go to the next one. And so we gave them a little bit more context of our building, which you guys have plenty of, and what our mission is, which is to collaboratively build a just and equitable society in harmony with planet Earth through empowering cultural dimensions of the social process. When I say cultural dimensions of the social process, do you guys have any idea what I mean? No? Okay, so maybe I can explain a little. Do you want to go on, Terry? So, the social process, so IC has been around for about 50 years, and throughout its time, it's worked on community development, and it spends a lot of time trying to figure out how do people engage with each other, and how do you create social change. Can you go to the next one? And so they've created, 1 year, I don't know, it was in the 70s?
1971.
1971. A group of them got together over summer and spent a long time trying to put together visuals for how we work sort of as a society in an ideal situation. And so this is kind of the social process. And in the social process, you have economics, cultural, and like political commonalities, and they're all balanced. Can you tell in this triangle, they're all equally balanced. And this is an ideal situation of how we would work as a society. Does that make sense to you all? Do you guys know? Are you following? Yes? Okay, you can go to the next one. But what they also found is they wanted to do representations of what is actually happening and not in an ideal situation. And I think this is very true today, even more so true today, is that as a society, we tend to put emphasis on economics and not necessarily on the political or the cultural. The way that we view politics is usually through the lens of the economy, and the way that we talk about culture is usually through the lens of economy as well. And you guys, as business students, should probably be very aware of this. Can you go back one slide? And in this scenario of how the world ought to operate, all this takes place within the context of the globe, right? So we talk about economics, politics, and cultural within planet Earth. And then, if you go to the next one again, the way that it actually is we talk about the Earth in context of economics. You know, we watch the Economics of Happiness, we watch Global Oneness Project, and all those videos talked about how we view the world for our consumption. And it's because this economic piece that we view everything through, we view the world through that as well. And that, we think, at this organization is part of our problem. We can go on to the next one. So what happens when you look at everything through an economic lens? Again, you guys are business students. We're not trying to tell you that, an economic lens is bad, but when it's the only thing that you look at, it gives you a very one-sided view of something. So we're going to talk a little bit about healthcare systems, education systems, energy systems, criminal justice systems, systems and food systems when we only look through the economic lens, which I'm saying is how we work as a society today. You can go on. So when we look at healthcare systems, we think, is it lucrative? You know, when you're sick and you have cancer and you're in the hospital, you're paying money out, and so you're actually increasing our gross domestic product, GNP or GDP? You guys know, GDP. And that actually means we're doing better as a country, right? So the more people are sick, the more people are paying money into the hospitals, because GDP is how we see whether or not we're doing well, we think we're doing better. And we can all agree in this room that the more people are sick, it's not better for us. When you look at higher education system, you guys go to school, you're not thinking about, and maybe you are, but a lot of times people don't think about what they want to actually do with their life. They think about what is going to be the best return on my investment. Will I make enough money with my degree? Life doesn't become about what you want to be doing with your time. It becomes about, can you buy enough things and can you have enough to continue on? When you look at our criminal justice system, we ask questions like, is it costing the taxpayers too much money? You know, the third highest grossing industry, I think in Texas, is the prison system. And in the U.S., I think it's one of the top 10 in terms of our highest grossing industries is our prison system. And that's a problem. And we're not asking the right questions because we're just looking at the economics of it. The economics of it are great. There's a lot of other really big problems with our criminal justice system, but we don't tend to see them. Energy systems. Is it profitable? Are we making money? Are we cutting down costs? These are the questions that we ask. Or even food, we ask, are we minimizing costs? Do we make a profit? Now, what I'm suggesting is if we could look at more than just the economic lens, we would be asking much different questions. You can go to the next one. If we could look through that cultural and that social at a more holistic picture, we'd be asking questions like, is this healthcare system the best care for the patient? Are we looking at root causes? Are we just providing medication for things because people are eating poorly, or are we actually looking at root causes? For our higher education, we can look at, will this be a meaningful and enriching experience? Am I doing with my life what I want to because it's meaningful, or instead of, is it going to make me money? Criminal justice system. The idea of a criminal justice system is it's supposed to be rehabilitating people. Is it restorative justice? We don't ask those questions again because of the economic lens. In energy systems, we can talk about, is it damaging the earth? We can look at fracking. Do you guys know about fracking and what it is? Have you guys heard about it? It's a really big thing right now in the U.S. Have you guys heard about the tar sands pipeline from Alaska? Any of these things? Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. right now and all over the world about how we get our energy. Fracking is going through into rocks and creating these explosions so we can get to the natural gas. And what we're doing is literally damaging the earth so that we can turn on our lights. And so, but we're looking at, does it make money? We're not looking at, are we destroying everything else around us? And food systems as well. Is it good for us, or will it cause health problems? We talked about corn commodities a couple of weeks ago and how a lot of what we eat isn't actually food, it's just foodstuffs. And why is it cheaper to buy soda or to buy something that's completely manufactured and has gone through manufacturing in 10 different spaces and all these different hands than it is to buy one apple? Why is it cheaper? It's because we give subsidies, because we're looking at how can we make the biggest bang for our buck. You can go to the next one. And another question we would be asking if we were looking at beyond just the economic. And I think as business students and talking about social entrepreneurship, this is the biggest piece. How do you look past just the economic? Is there equal access to all of these systems? You guys talked about richer neighborhoods and poorer neighborhoods. Did you guys notice what kind of grocery stores were in your rich neighborhoods? You had Whole Foods or you had Trader Joe's, access to organic foods or good foods. But in those poorer neighborhoods, you had convenience stores. And all you can get is soda, or you can get, chips and things like that. And there's not equal access in these systems. People who are better off can benefit more from these systems. Are there deleterious effects? Are there bad effects? Or are they equal for everybody? And we'll go into that a little bit more. Are these systems that we've created sustainable? Our marketplace is sort of based on the fact that we're going to constantly keep growing. how do you infinitely grow on a finite planet with finite resources? It's a really basic question that people aren't looking into. And is it a just system? We spent a lot of time in the past 5 weeks talking about justice. Is what we're doing with everything just for everyone involved? You can go on. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about food and energy. So you can go to the next one. So in energy, there are 3 very basic things that I think I'll end up just talking about one of them, but there's carbon trading,